Hi there, it's Kevin with the Rogue Deck Builder here with the Thursday's Rogues Alley. I was going to do a Commander Spotlight again this week because Commander Night is Thursday at the Gone Rogue Games, but unfortunately, I didn't quite get this video done for the Tuesday Brews Day, so just think of this as a late Tuesday Brews Day with the 2.0 version of the Auras. This has been a deck that I've been working on for quite some time because I finally do have a deck that I think can hold its own in Standard. Now, again, the goal of this channel is to play. I like to refine like a certain card to make it as good as possible and see how well I can have that card perform in Standard. Now, I'm going to admit that oftentimes these decks, you never can get them quite to like tier 1 level, but I have been successful in the past at getting some of them up to what I consider tier 1 or at least can compete with the big boys. And so that's always my goal when a new Standard comes around, is to try to figure out a new way to attack the meta. And that was pretty much impossible with the Alrund's Epiphany meta. I am very happy with the bans. Unfortunately, though, I think that it's starting to lead to exactly the problem that I thought it was going to lead to. I made a video about the top 10 cards that I wish were in Standard, and a lot of them were focusing on cards that I thought needed to be able to disrupt tokens, or like the Planeswalker generating tokens, or some of these like one-trick pony decks that have a very key card that is very tough to deal with, and there's no way to proactively rip it out of the deck. And so that's what we're really suffering from right now in Standard, is we're already starting to see the meta shift to just these Planeswalker value-based strategies. They are starting to go back to Blood on the Snow decks as well. So like right after the bannings, people were playing more of like a kind of a grindy mid-range strategy of tokens. And now we are back to seeing that either they're going Blood on the Snow or they're going Eskit Chariot. So a lot of these Orzhov decks, I believe Orzhov is the #1 deck right now. And it's just trying to get so much value out of the wedding announcements and Planeswalkers, and then playing their own board wipes like Mimic Massacre and Blood on the Snow, and just grind, because there isn't really a deck that can push out like a big finisher at the moment. So without Alrund's Epiphany, that boogeyman finisher, these token grindy decks have just taken over the meta. We've seen mono green and mono white basically become obsolete. You don't really run into those as much as you used to, and which is good news for this Auras decks, because those were both some of our worst matchups. We really had to put a lot of removal in our deck to combat both of those, and then it made our strategy a lot weaker. So this new meta gives us a lot of breathing room to set up. So the good thing about these Orzhov tokens-based decks is they are what I consider more mid-range decks, and they give us time to build up. Now, a lot of them do run a lot of removal still, but it's just not as heavy as what we used to see. They're relying on board wipes, so that gives us a way to sneak in with like a Goldspan Dragon combo. Now, you still will run into the red-blue decks, but without the key card of the other banning, which was Divide by Zero. This deck is also so much better against that deck. Divide by Zero was just super, super strong. It was basically a time walk, and it could be a massive disruption card by returning a permanent back to our hand when we try to combo off, and it was just miserable to try to beat that card. And without that card in the deck, I think that deck's become a lot more fair to play against. And so I have been seeing a slight higher success rate. It is a lot more grindy. We still have to fine tune this deck. That's why I've kind of gone all out on the combo rather than trying to interact with my opponents. But I think that we do have a over 50% win percentage. Let me pull up the stats here of this deck. I've been playing a little bit here lately in the past few days, and we can look at my deck here, see if I can find it. Yeah, I've got a 54% win rate, so not the greatest win rate. I mean, that's nothing to write home to mom about. But you can see it's got a pretty decent matchup versus that dragons-based strategy with a 66% win percentage and 80% win percentage versus those Orzhov decks. Been doing very well against them, and some of these Jund treasure decks has been doing very well against as well. I'd say the worst matchups is still, if you go back down here, see that mono green, mono white. Those are still decks that are very troublesome for our deck to beat. And I think this was another mono white shell that was just splashing red for something. You are starting to see a bit of that, and not the greatest versus like these werewolf strategies either. So the aggro matchups are still quite tough. I don't think there's any way to really shore up your aggro matchup or have like a good game plan against those mid-range decks. So I think right now, though, you have to kind of choose which one you want to be good against. And with the meta really shifting towards those Orzhov and so either you're looking like Naya or Jund Esket Chariot decks, and Orzhov, they're just getting value out of tokens, just pushing out many tokens and having that kind of staying power, that range to kind of finish off of those Planeswalkers or Esket Chariots. I think that we should gear the deck more towards beating those than trying to combat kind of the boogeyman that was aggro that no longer really can compete in this Orzhov board wipe environment. All right, so the big mouthful to talk about what's been going on. Let me show you the changes. You can go back to last week and see the deck and see how this has progressed. So the main thing is that I had a flex spot in this deck with getting rid of some of the removal. I've decided to put Kalian in here. This one's actually pretty good with generating treasure tokens. The fixing is actually quite important because oftentimes you need double red or double black or double white, and the treasure token can actually be quite good at fixing you and ramping you towards like a showdown of Scalds and a Goldspan Dragon, and that could be the key of pushing through against those mid-range decks or not. This also has the added ability that it gives +1/+1 if you sacked a treasure. So you can get some pretty beefy stuff happening with like a Goldspan Dragon or a Runeforge Champion. Actually, getting that just +1/+1, it can push through a couple, chump blockers or something. I've had some instances where, for example, they had a Ruin Crab, and I was able to then Kalian into Runeforge Champion, so my champion could then start attacking into the Ruin Crab. I know we don't see Ruin Crab as often as we used to, but that was just a scenario that I'd like to bring up with that did happen with that +1 counter. So I'm saying it's just not relevant. That +1 counter from using a treasure can be relevant with Kalian. But the main thing is this is just a 1/2 that's going to lead back a treasure token, and that's going to be able to be fixed. Or what's also kind of cool with this one is if you have a showdown of the Scalds and you haven't really found a better target to start putting the counters on from the showdown, this is just another target that can be a finisher. So this is still a combo deck running showdowns with Rune of Speeds, and again, it's just another thing that we can have a target for. Nice little chump blocker too, I forgot to mention that. So the main thing that also changes with this deck is the mana base and went more over to the slow lands rather than the pathways, because hitting those doubles is incredibly important. This has slowed down our deck substantially though, but it has helped with the fixing and just not getting screwed on having double white into double red isn't as big of a problem. So a Sundown passes. We have the 2 Haunted Ridges and the 4 Shattered Sanctums. The pathways, we're going to run 4 of the Needle Verge pathway because these are 2 most important colors, and then just 2 of the other 2 color combinations. And you always do want to keep the one of each basic land because there are lots of Field of Ruins running around in the meta. All right, so the runes are pretty self-explanatory. We run all 3 of the Mardu colored runes. Shajari Shelter is really good too because it can protect our combo from. It also increases our land count, plus we can protect our combo when we're ready to go off. And the same thing we said with Kazul's Fury. This is our fling effect, which can also be used as land if we need it to be used as a land. And this isn't unheard of to fling a Catilda or a Goldspan Dragon for lethal with the Fury. So the main combo of this deck is Kilian, Ink Duelist with Runeforge Champion. What this allows is to cast runes for free, and then if you have like a showdown, you can really chain off with this combo, so you can get a big beefy card on one turn. Kilian's also quite nice to reduce the cost of something like the Shajari Shelter, and it also can reduce the cost of the Catilda's Rising Dawn when it's ready to be disturbed onto a card. So that often happens too. Like they take care of your first Catilda, then you throw Catilda on Kilian, and you've thrown a bunch of runes on your lands, and so they're still statically they are reading all those runes that are equipped to your lands, and then you can attack in with a big Kilian, which has Menace, which is kind of cool with the Catilda Dawnheart Martyr. And it's really cool too if you like top deck a Rune of Speed. You can win a lot of games off of like a Kilian out, a Catilda in the graveyard, or Rune of Speed off the top, or a Kilian in a Rune of Speed come into play, give it haste, throw a Catilda, and then attack in for lethal. That is not unheard of for this deck happening. Goldspan Dragon is the other neat little combo with this. If you do use a rune on a Goldspan Dragon, you get a treasure back that then can be sacked for as much mana as you put into it. And if you have a Kilian out or a Runeforge Champion, you're actually netting up mana. And so you can chain off on a turn as well. I almost want to put like a discard card in here just to make sure we can get rid of like when you start to get too many lands. But typically the more lands, the merrier in this deck, because you like to start to build up for a big play. So I've also really mess with the sideboard. You can see it's mostly white cards in the sideboard, but Circle of Confinement are super good cards versus aggro because they're going to be reading an enchantment for Catilda. Catilda is the key card versus the aggro strategies because it's going to be huge once you get these Borrowed Times and Circle of Confinements out, or like even a Meat Massacre out, then Catilda can actually read those things that have done their job, and it's removal that's also still giving you a benefit later on. So running 3 circles, 3 Borrowed Times, 3 Meat Massacres, these are kind of out of order here, and that is kind of our control aspect to it. I've been messing around with Wedding Announcement. I don't know how I feel about this in this deck. It's kind of okay with Killians and Kalians to start getting some value with drawing cards. It's also an enchantment that gives some creatures that then could be targets for the showdown. So I do have it in my sideboard right now. It's been in the main at one point. I'm not quite certain if this is what we want to be, or if something like just like a Edgar Markov is just more powerful, or something like a Planeswalker like a Sorin might be more powerful in this this slot. So we're still tinkering around. This is the big slot here. And then I still am obsessed with this card of Hallowed Haunting. Unfortunately, this card, the more and more I play it, the weaker and weaker it is. This is one of those cards that's just more of a win more card. When it works, it really works. But when it doesn't work, man, it's just such a terrible card to put 4 mana into something that doesn't give you any benefit. And that often is the case if you draw this kind of late, or it's just so weird. Do I want to play a Hallowed Haunting right now? I need to put out a board state. Can't. And it's an awkward card. But like I said, when it's good, it's really good. Again, with the runes, you can chain off a lot of runes in one turn and then create a bunch of spirits. And then it's a good renewable resource. I really wish, though, they would have made this like a 3 mana or even a 2 mana at that point. I'm not sure if that'd be too broken at that point. But what I really would have liked to see with Hallowed Haunting is when you cast it, you also got a 1/1 spirit. So you could at least have a chump blocker off of it. So another thing I thought about putting in here is the 4/3 Angel that then has angels out of the sideboard, because that could also give us targets for stuff. But that could easily be another one of these. I think you'd have to like throw maybe a Kalian out or something, and then you could have that slot in the sideboard. So it's something that we definitely need to mess around with to see if that is the right route to go. So yeah, I've rambled a lot for this one. So it's a big 12-minute analysis of how this deck works. Let's get to some matchups here and see. I'll do a best of 3, see if we can get some of the matchups that we want to see and see how well this deck actually does compete in the meta. And again, I'm hoping I can get back in the swing of things with doing these with the Tuesday Brews Day. I won't try to do too many duplicate decks. I do want to start messing around with cards from Kamigawa, and I really need to get in the mindset that every deck doesn't have to be a Pro Tour deck. I can just have fun with theory crafting and really seeing how powerful we can make a card. And so far, I'm liking a bunch of the spoilers from Kamigawa. There seems to be some fun ones to mess around with. And then again, Rogue's Alley was just gonna be flex, whether it be Commander or revisit a deck. So looking for suggestions in the comment section. I think this is a keepable hand because we have Kalian. This is a pretty good hand if we could ramp into like a Showdown. And what's cool about Showdown too is like we can do it on turn 4 with a treasure token and not play a land, and then if we hit a land, then we can play it off of the Showdown. So I think this is fine. The 2 runes are quite awkward. We might just have to use a treasure to put a rune on a... We have both our basics too. That's pretty funny. Okay, that actually, yeah, that's the perfect card. That was the best card we could have drawn. So we get the Kalian Reclusive Painter out, and now I have to make a decision. I could go for like Showdown next turn, or I could wait. If I have a land, I could wait a turn, just like put a rune on something. That's also... Valky's going to hit my Goldspan Dragon. That's super obnoxious with the Valky. Because that was a good card. So... I think that putting a rune on something probably is the right play. I'm not going to go for a Showdown. So let's go here. Let's see what we draw. And you always want to put this on basic lands just in case they have a Field of Ruin, so that it doesn't, affect the count. So we're going to draw a card. Another Showdown. And I am not going to attack. Do I want to trade here? No attacks, so... We'll end the turn here, and then next turn I actually probably will use the treasure for a Showdown, and that way we can hit... you hit 2 lands, there actually be cards we can play rather than cards we can't. So unfortunately it's going to be a Reckless Stormseeker. Let's see where our opponent goes. With the Reckless, Stormseeker's going to attack in with Reckless, so I don't need a chump block yet. I don't think we can wait a turn, but we are not looking good here so far. So yeah, I'm just going to use a treasure token just to try to maximize the value with the Showdown. And then Hopefully we can get back into this game. But the good news too is you can take a lot of hits with this one. So there, right off the bat, we have some cards that we can start running. So I'm gonna go the Fury, and then we have the Sanctum the next turn, and then we can also throw a Rune of Speed on, like a Runeforged Champion. We'll actually have a pretty decently sized Runeforged Champion on that turn because we got double runes, and it will be a bigger card. So I'm actually not going to block this turn either. With the Eska Chariot coming out, it's going to be able to crew and give haste. That's actually very obnoxious with the Reckless Stormseeker. So my Jund opponent finds the magical Christmas land, finding all their colors with all their curve on the same womp womp. So I might just lose here because this is going to be a lot of oomph coming out. I'm not going to block again because I do want this +1/+1 counter on the Kaylin. I think that's actually quite good. And then the Runeforged Champion will be decently sized. So yeah, that'll be okay. So we go Runeforge, and I think, actually, you know what I'm going to go grab? I'm going to go grab a Death Touch. Oh, I don't want to go get a Death Touch. Yeah, let's grab a Death Touch. Don't want to cast it, though, is a thing. So then I'm going to throw this on. Yeah, everything's going to Runeforge. And I think I'm going to throw the Death Touch on the Kaylin. Yep, that's fine. And again, throw a +1 counter here on the Runeforge. So you have a decently sized Runeforge champion that should be able to... Ooh, okay. Now I'm wishing I would have put the enchantments on because we have Catilda, which is very strong. We have Catilda with Rune of Speed too, which off of Showdown of Scalds, unfortunately this doesn't have Vigilance here. I always thought about putting the Radiant... whatever that Radiant card is called that gives Vigilance +1/+0 because it's just such a good card with Catilda. But let's see what our opponent does. Just gonna go into a Goldspan Dragon, huh? Yeah, it's pretty rough. So we gotta hope our opponent doesn't have... This is kind of an awkward attack by my opponent. Because we get to block... Oh, they have the 2 mana for something. Ay, ay, ay. So, how much am I taking? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. If I just... So I have to block here. And I don't think this is going to... With the killing of the Runeforge, that Infernal Grasp was just insane here. I don't think we're going to be able to do anything here. We can go Catilda. No, let's not show anything. Because I could just go Catilda and then give it like +1/+1, which is not. So here's where our removal gets super good. We're going to bring in all the removal. And typically I do like to do the Hallowed Haunting here. And this is where I go down. What I typically like to do is go down to 1 Goldspan Dragon, go down to 1 Killian. Even though I didn't see a lot of removal from my opponent, I think that we're going to run out more of these type of cards. Kaylin can go away now because we don't have to worry about like ramping into the Goldspan Dragon. And then Catilda's actually a card that can come down in copies when you're running like the Meathook Massacre. And I don't even know if Meathook's right. Yeah, Meathook probably is the right route to go. We can go down a Fury and then typically 1 Fury and then go down to 2 Catildas. It's typically how I like to run this. You're never going to run the Runeforge out because it's super strong. And Hallowed Haunting can be a card that can actually take over this game. So I think my opponent's going to be bringing in more removal. And so I'm trying to anticipate that. And this is a very, very... common matchup that we faced before, and you saw before we actually have a pretty good matchup for it. The Eska Chariot draws, like that was a perfect curve, 2, 3, 4. The Valky disrupted us too, so it was Valky's super strong when you don't run removal. It's kind of a trash card if you do have like a removal spell because it just doesn't really disrupt much. It's still an okay card if you can of course flip it or if you can cast it on its Planeswalker one. So, but a lot of times it ends up being just a card that just eats a removal spell, which again can be okay. This is an awkward hand. We do have a Rune of Speed. We can't cast the... I think we keep it. So go to the Shelter into play tap because it's going to be a tap land no matter what. And we do need some luck here to draw an untapped land. We unfortunately missed the untapped land, so that might be Dispel Disaster. This was on the verge of mulliganing or not because we do have... Like, I never want to get rid of a Meathook Massacre draw. So we really, really need to pray for land. Circle Confinement's not where we want to be. Let's just go here and pray for land here. And if we don't draw the land, that's just bad luck. So we do draw the land. Okay. So Circle Confinement, I don't think is going to be able to hit anything. Goes Chariot here, and we're in deep trouble. I'd love to draw land and go Hauled Haunting, because then that can allow like a confinement. Okay, that's fine. That one's actually okay. It used our opponent's treasure token. We get rid of it with the confinement next turn. And my opponent didn't attack in, which I'm not sure what that was all about. We actually have double. Yeah, we can actually do both here. Yep, I got the mana for it. So red, we don't need double red for anything with a gold span. So is having another white better. So white. I actually do think red is fine in this instance, because if we do draw the one gold span dragon, hopefully I'm not kicking myself in the butt for this. So the confinement comes down. It takes care of the Reckless Storm Seeker. And then we also have the Duelist. And I actually feel like we're in pretty good position here. Can't quite cast the McMasker. We're still missing that. But we have the Showdown. Oh, we can actually even go Hauled Haunting if we have a little bit more turn. Like if our opponent decides to kill the Killian here, we have a turn with like Hauled Haunting, and then we can go Showdown, and then we just get a 1/1 back, and we can just start kind of chump blocking. This, though, might make me just want to, if I draw into a land. Okay, let's just go Rune for... Nope, we can go off next turn. Okay, I'm just gonna let my opponent hit me. We're gonna hit by the Graveyard Trespasser, and the next turn we can actually go. We can go off pretty well here. So it has to kill that Killian. So that was pretty weak. 2 mana to make 1 mana. I'm not quite sure what that was about. Wanted the green, I guess. And yeah, we'll take the... And it prevents my opponent from flipping. So I'm going to lose a life from the Graveyard Trespasser. But we have a very good follow-up play this turn. So Shelter will be okay. It's just going to go here. And then we have... I have to be careful with this. Let's go with a life link here. I have to be careful with this rune. Because I can end up not drawing a card here. Let's just go here. Okay, opponent does not have removal. So now we can just go crazy. And then go here. I have a 2/2. And that's actually quite nice. Unfortunately, it's not another black source. We'll do another white source. But this also allows us the Shelter. And then now we can target one of these. We have a bunch of 3/3s. And then I can attack in, gain some life back, and now we're in great shape. I don't see my opponent coming back from this. They have green now. I think that's what my opponent was setting up. That was a weird play with the Reckless Stormseeker. I think my opponent messed up. I've done it before too, because the arena tries to auto make you tap the treasure with when Kalian's out. They do have a very aggressive draw with the Goldspan coming in, and that does leave back 2 mana. But we have a pretty aggressive draw coming in with these cards next turn. So depending on what opponent does, hopefully it is a removal spell that is going to be shot off here because we have the Shelter. And then we have Showdown of Scalds next turn, which will create some 4/4s. It's going to be that actually does not hit me whatsoever. So use 2 treasure tokens on the Valk, or use a treasure token on the Valky, huh? Comes in as a... Oh yeah, it spent both mana, I guess is what it's calling. Okay, so let's see what we can do this turn. That is not what we want to see, so let's just start off with a Showdown. Wants to keep a black up, huh? I think we want to keep a red up. Because we have cards we can... Nah, that's fine. Doesn't matter what it is. So now we have a 4/4 Spirit. Yeah, we definitely have a black because we go Meat Hook Massacre. Opponent's just going to scoop it up, huh? All right, so again, this is something we could go. I don't know how well Catilda actually seems super strong in this matchup. I don't know if I can actually cut Catilda. Do we need Meat Hook Massacres? Is Meat Hook Massacre... Like, my opponent's spreading... it just seems so strong, but it's weak without Kalian. I'm going to go down to 1 of Meat Hook Massacre. I'm going to bring these Catildas back in. I know they're weaker without Killians, though. Yeah, let's just do this. Not sure if Meat Hook's going to be the right play. So I'm opponent to kind of have a weird draw. They didn't have their perfect curve, though. This kind of happens, though, when you're running multiples of Kalians. You can draw multiples of them. And Valkyries, when they don't hit, they don't hit. It was pretty bad late draw. So... Oh, this is pretty good if we can, A, sustain a beating, and B, Yeah, that's the only problem with this Halled Haunting. I really feel like this card needs to generate value as soon as it comes out. So it should count for itself. So unfortunately, we did not draw land. That is pretty rough. My opponent's also slow, so that's very good news. So red, black, yeah. So this one can be on red just fine, and then we can decide on the next one. We'll probably want. Oh, I should have put that on white. That was really stupid of me. I was thinking that we needed, because now we can't do Kalian. I am not paying attention here. I'm just going to throw this Rune of Mortality out. I want some more information. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, it hurts. We have Runeforge Champion next turn. Yeah, I guess Catilda. Like, Catilda probably would have been good next turn. I just messed that up. So opponent draws a Reckless Stormseekers, and I do not have a removal spell for it. Eee, that hurts. So let's just go with the Haunted Ridge and go with the Runeforge. Yeah, I don't double white now for 2 of my cards. Really mess this up. And then I don't even care what to get here. What's the easiest one to cast? Like a Rune of Speed. If it gets destroyed, we'll do a Rune of Speed. So unfortunately, though, we could get tempoed here. Let's just see what happens. My opponent's just going to try to... Okay. We do get the double white, so I've got a couple of things I can do here. We can go Catilda, give it haste, attack in, but that is subject to removal. I think what I want to do is just go the Halled Haunting, and I'm just going to take another beating next turn. So I'm going to live on the edge here. But we do have a good play with triple runes and Catilda next turn with generating a lot of value off that Halled Haunting. So that is my play. So even if my opponent goes like a Goldspan Dragon, they missed a land drop, even if they go like in a Chariot, I think we can get back in this game with being able just to go crazy next turn. So did find the mana source, didn't find something to attack in. I don't think I have to worry about double strike or any nonsense here. I mean, if we go down here, my opponent's holding up some sort of... I wonder if it's all black cards in my opponent's hand. I could just Mihuk Massacre and just be like in good position. That might actually be the play, but I think the right play here is just to go the Catilda strategy. So we have black, black. We have tons of black here, but I think I don't know. Let's go red, red, black. Yeah, we have tons of black, 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 black. So let's just go red here. So let's go Catilda. And the good news about these runes, they can just go on a land. I don't have to worry about removal here. Okay, and no, I think that this is bigger than any removal spell, so it's going to go here. And this should finish off the game. I don't know if my opponent's just going to scoop it up. As we have a massive 8-7 that is going to get the job done. I'll keep Runeforge back just in case I need a chump block. Who knows? But yeah, this life gain is going to get us ahead. I'm curious what my opponent has in the hand. I believe they have a bunch of black cards, so they could be stuck with dragons galore. So there's one Goldspan coming down. I could always just block here. Force out some removal spells. So here's kind of an easy block. It'll force out a removal spell if they go on the Catilda. But... So Infernal Grasp is obviously in my opponent's hand here. So I'm going to... oh, they don't have flying yet. So we'll just go here, and here, and here. Get that Reckless Stormseeker dead. Okay, so Infernal Grasp on Catilda is going to be the play, obviously. Power would kill, okay. And that bumps it down so they're able to kill, yeah, one of the spirits. But here is where I have a lot of options. I think the right play, though, is just to go... Oh, we'll go land here. Catilda on Rune. And then... does Rune of Speed just do it? I think Rune of Speed just does it. Yep. As that is hit in for lethal. And there you go. That's how this deck can just, change gears quite quickly. Opponent did stumble there without the black, but I mean, that's the problem with running a tricolor deck right now without perfect mana. You can get, and then same thing with game number two. Game number two, they got stuck with too many of their, 2-drops that are kind of liabilities if you have multiples of them. So kind of a give or take deck there. All right, so let's just do one more, and then I'll maybe post some progress of this as we go on. But I like to see that Jund matchup. That Jund matchup is starting to get a little bit of play because it does interact quite well with Orzhov. So against Orzhov, you need to go over the top of them. You need to make sure if they ever stumble on the removal or like their Mimic Massacres aren't the greatest. So what it can do is it can go below they're aggressive enough that they can go below Blood on the Snow, and they can also come back from a Blood on the Snow. And the removal doesn't match up that well too with Orzhov because many of the cards can then be multicolored, which then their multicolored Vanishing Verse doesn't work with the best. Sorcery Speed removal doesn't hit the haste stuff. So it's a very aggressive and has like what we call staying power range. So I am thinking that deck's going to start getting more popular as the Orzhov. I think when I looked on MG Arena Pro, Orzhov was like now 25%. It was huge how many people are playing it. And there was when I was playtesting this deck a few days back, it was 6 in a row of people in Platinum that I faced against were playing it. So anyway, enough talking here. We have the Sanctum into the Killian Ink Duelist, and we have Goldspan Dragon. So this is actually leading up to being a pretty good hand. Debating, I mean, of course, depends on what my opponent's playing. But, man, Killian is also, this card has been really impressing me with his Lifelink Menace. It seems like even if you need to start, like, attacking in. Okay, now we have the combo. Let's go you on white. Unfortunately, that is such a bad... Do I wait a turn? Because I don't have double red now for the Goldspan Dragon. I should have gone... Yeah. Should have gone... No, I had to go this one. That's correct. Well, we're going to hope to draw into another red source. So I'm just going to go Killian. But anyway, Killian, what I was talking about is Killian's actually impressed me as the 2/2 Lifelink Menace. This guy can actually get in for damage, and that a lot of times you don't want to trade it, so it's kind of just dead sitting here looking stupid. And like in this scenario, if they would have put out a 2/2, I wouldn't want to trade with it, and I wouldn't want to not have it sit back. So right now it could attack in. All right, let's go for Sundown Pass, Runeforge. This is what's cool too. Look how aggressive this draw is. We're going to go get, I think that I'd like to get just like a Rune of Sustenance here. And then we go Speed on the champion and then Sustenance on the champion. And now we're getting in for some nice damage and being a healthy 25 life. We have backups of the combo in our hand too, so it looks like we're going against the same Jund deck. Yeah, this is a pathway. I was thinking this could just be the Rakdos, which is very similar. They just don't run the Esket Chariot, basically, is the only difference. I think that this Jund version runs Ren and 7 in the Esket Chariot, but Emberstorm Predator is also getting pretty popular with the... another Rune of Speed. Rune of Speed. Well, you can go on Killian, my dude. Well, actually, you can't go on Killian. Yuck. Block sacks. Block sacks. Either way, it's pretty bad. Block sack, block sack. Yeah, we are kind of in bad shape here. I kind of just want to wait a turn to see if we can... Well, I can sack a Killian. And Emberstorm will be up to 5, because I can just recast a Killian if I want to do that. The problem is I'll be down... I could put this on the Runeforge champion as well, but then I'll be down a lot of runes. Want to go here? Let's go here. Yeah, let's go here. That's better. I like that play. So what I'm thinking in my head here is, ooh, now I don't want to kill anything. I was going to say Rune of Speed on... Jeez. On the Runeforge champion. Because then my opponent would have to lose a Killian. Yeah, I don't think I want to attack him with anything here. I should have kept that Killian back. Dang. Okay, so this is rough because this is a vampire dragon though, so this Catilda is actually super strong versus yeah, we can't attack two and they miss. Sorry, my thought process is all over the place. I apologize for everyone trying to keep up with me here. All right, so Catilda first. And then I still think I want to put a Rune of Sustenance on something. So the one it can only go on is this guy here. There we go. And now we have our other source. So I can just attack in... Oops, I skipped my attack phase. I could say I could attack with Killian. And then if my opponent wanted to... Ouch, that actually does hurt. Because 3 runes go to the bin. Yeah, I shouldn't have loaded up all the runes on one. But this Catilda just gets... I'm wondering why my opponent decided to go after another Immersor Predator. Man, this Catilda is just going to do work. Yeah, okay, my opponent doesn't understand that Catilda says protection from vampires. So thank you for the free life. I mean, you do get to... put a counter on the Immerstorm Predator. However, just free life here. Showdown. Showdown's actually good here. I think it's better than Goldspan Dragon. Because it gets our Catilda up to a 4/4. And that is perfect. Can we lethal here? Because that allows for Shigeri's Shelter. I think we can next turn, though. Because I could say protection from red. Do I want to just keep Catilda back? No, I think we get in for damage here because I don't think that I'm in any threat of lethal. We can protect anything this next turn with the Shelter. And the following turn, we're going to get some pretty big buffs depending on what we get with Showdown. So Catilda's getting protected. And if not, I mean, I could even let Catilda die because we have Killian to basically resurrect it. Opponent does get to dig. But yeah, but they can't deal with this 5 life. So, or this 4/4, the 5 life. I don't know why I was saying 5 life. They can't deal with this. I mean, might as well attack with the Immerstorm Predator at that point, because the 4 damage is coming through, and Showdown's going to be too big. So, plus we can make one of these cards go through. Yeah, Pro Black on the Runeforge is just lethal, actually. Drew a land. So I don't know if I want to proactively, cast this Shelter to give Pro Black just to make sure we lethal. But yeah, this I don't see my opponent coming back from this because we have Runeforge Champion that can go get. I also have Goldspan Dragon here. Runeforge is, which one is more powerful? Goldspan, I think Runeforge is actually more powerful, and it keeps up mana. So obviously here, search my library, and we'll definitely get a Rune of Speed because it's 1 more damage on the Catilda. Could have done that on the Runeforge Champion too, but I just don't want to. I don't want to really mess with it here. We're gonna play the safe route and just go Killian. And then attack into everything. Oh, crap, there's first strike. I should not have done that. So I'm going to have to shelter on the Rune Forge. That was pretty stupid of me because it gives my opponent something they can actually first strike down. That was a bad play, though. Yep, that's a bad block. Okay, so that one we actually do sneak through and get the first win. And again, you have to kind of make the assessment of what. And these circle confinements I think are still worthwhile to bring in, and borrowed times are. I think we're just going to still go business as usual. So the Meek Massacre, the goal span's down to a 1 of. Fury down because Fury's not going to run into what we want it to do. Duelist, though, I didn't see a lot of removal, and it was quite strong. But again, I still believe it's going down in count here. And what did I get rid of last time? The Kalins? I think that's a pretty decent. Typically with the Dragon version, if they go the Ember Storm, they're typically higher on like the Esket Chariots, the Wrens, as well as removal. And so like this version is more Prosperous Innkeeper. Like Prosperous Innkeeper, Goldspan Dragon, the Kalian, and a lot of removal in Wren and 6 and Esket Chariot. So I'm not sure if actually I don't know if this is the best route to go the confinements or not. Because there are quite a few amount of cards you can run in this list. So we even started to see the 6/6 Dragon run in this list as well. It's kind of risky. We have no black. We have no double white. We do have action, though, which I think is fine because we have white here. I guess I could have just gone mountain, but we don't need the double red. Only one card left in the deck that does it. So if they put out an aggressive card, we just take it. So here, like a Valky we could just, yeah. So Valky's just kind of a meh card here. It takes the Runeforge Champion, then I just get it right back. Yeah, because it's getting confined. Now we have the double white, which is great. I'm not going to show that we do. So we are going to confine Valky to a life of misery. This is kind of funny, too. Some of these Rakdos builds are starting to run a lot of the vampires. And I've actually had Circle Confinement work very well with gaining life. With, oh, another Valky. Yuck. So now opponent, you would have to think my opponent's taking Catilda. Okay. I stand corrected. We have a Catilda next turn, then. So a 2/2 to Catilda, hope it doesn't get shot down. It definitely could. Yeah, Thundering Rebuke. We're still getting kind of 1 for 1. Hopefully we can find another removal spell for Valky. But we should be in decent shape if we can just avoid drawing these awful lands. So that's what I like about these runes, though. They can always be cycled. And we'll have a big Catilda on something eventually when we're able. Our opponent did miss a land drop, too, which is great news for us because it's going to give us time to set up. So we'd love to see a showdown, or we'd love to see anything but a land. Like I have very high hopes for what we draw here. And hopefully our opponent can decide they have nothing to do. There you go. Oh, of course we see a land. So Mortality is the other weak link for it. So you could also like throw it on the confinements if you're, you want to put the enchantments if you're worried about land getting blown up. But typically since we have this non-basic land, we're fine. All right, so another rune, which is going to be a big Catilda. Let's see what we do. I wonder if Wedding... Oh, the Esket Chariot. Of course, a Chariot. They found their land. Come on. We could do Meek Massacre next turn, though. I did get rid of them, though. Oh, another land. That is no good. So, still just a shelter. Or a sustenance. Sorry, not a shelter. And love to hit a creature here. I know I've cut them. I've cut most of them. Find me a Miuk Massacre. Borrow time. That's actually perfect. So I have a couple of plays we can do here. We can get back a Rune Forge, or we can just take care of the Eskit Chariot. And I'm going to go on a limb here. I think my opponent has another Valky in hand is a problem. But which one? Decisions. Chariot, just getting rid of a Chariot. I'm feeling like my opponent might have double Chariots, double Valkies. I think Valky is the play I want to do because it allows us to come back in this game with a Runeforged champion. And it might be the wrong card. This might just be a terrible card. We also have the Shazari Shelter that can then protect. So we have a massive Catilda is the thing that is going to be able to get us back in this game. If I can draw, or if I can protect this Runeforge. Now, if it's another Valky that comes out, it's just bad luck that they're putting out, 3 of them. Of course, this comes now. That is interesting. We could wait a turn. We take 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm not sure we can wait a turn. I'm thinking that Hallowed Haunting is going to be too far gone. I mean, we could go the Rune of Speed right now onto something, and then it would be quite a big spirit, actually, because it reads how many enchantments there are, right? No, it reads other spirits, not enchantments. So, they're black here. And why was I wanting Miuk Massacre without even having the black to cast it? Did I, put one of these in wrong? Oh, well. Now we can draw a Miuk Massacre. So I think Runeforge is just the obvious play. And what we needed to go do is get a Death Toucher. And then just pass the turn. And we have Catilda that can go on the Runeforged champion. Kind of sucks it's pro-red here. My main opponent has double removal spells. If that's the case, we just ran into a pretty bad string of stuff. Opponent get attacking now with the Chariot, but I should be okay. Oh, boy. Oh, boy, oh, boy, oh, boy. Yeah, that ends up being brutal here because it's going to be 6. Yeah, possibly I made the wrong choice. Possibly it should have been the... Okay, so Showdown. I don't think Showdown's going to do it. I think we went like Haunting and then just a Rune of Speed. It's just over. Yeah, it's over. I can't deal with the Eskit Chariot, so... 4 lands, found all the removal spells, a double Valky, that hurt. Maybe Miuk Massacre needs to come back in if my opponent just go a lot of these removal spells. And I don't know, I could even go into something like Wedding Announcement to give chump blockers, but that always seems like a losing proposition. I don't know, they're running a lot of removal, and it does... The thing is, I don't like Wedding Announcement without Killian and Kalian. But I think we do need to beat Miuk Massacres on here. There's so many... It makes it so much better when I know there's double Valkies. So, Hallowed Haunting might just be the wrong... Let's go to a 1 of Hallowed and a 1 of... We'll compromise here with 2 Miuk Massacres and a 1 of Hallowed. I want to draw 2 Hallowed Hauntings. So they should have made it. They should have made it into Legendary Enchantment and then made it slightly better to have some sort of... Okay, so this is just hot garbage, but we do have action. So I'm going to keep it, and then we do have... I'll put it on a swamp first, so if we can draw like a white source, so we can actually keep this a red. So Rune of Sustenance on a swamp probably next turn. Nope, that's better. Perfect. So we got a white source, comes with tap, didn't need to land this turn, so it's great. See if Valky comes out, it's always a Valky. With my 1 card in hand, derp-a-derp, but at least we get it, we don't have to use a borrowed time on it. We can do Circle Confinement, get it back. It's not that big of a deal. Valky's galore. So again, Valky didn't really screw our... It did screw our curve up, I guess, because this would have been the turn we'd want to play the Runeforged champion. So next draw, we have a pretty decent option. Opponent is missing green sources. Now my opponent is not missing a green source. So hopefully Chariot does not come out. Hopefully we get a land? No, we get a Rune Forge. Does thin out our deck, though. Gives us a rune. Can't complain here. I don't even care which one. I think that, I don't know, something like a Mortality's fine, just in case we need to put it on something. But we did miss our land drop, which does suck. So hopefully Chariot. Actually, Chariot's not too bad because we can just borrow time it. And Scale Thundering broke, so that's actually fine. Didn't really do anything, just the damage we're taking. So, come on, land. Oh boy, so I think we'll just do another Rune Forge. Come on, we can find a land. We can find it. We're thinning out. We're drawing other cards that are not called lands. So let's go with a Rune of Speed again. Opponent missed a land drop too, so we kind of just like time walked this turn. There, they found a land. Womp womp. So hopefully it is a Goldspan Dragon. That really sucks. Use the treasure token though. Oh yeah, had to use the treasure token. And has something with this and Infernal Grass. Okay, this is fine though. This is fine because this doesn't actually target with the borrowed time. So again, we're kind of like time walked. Frustrating. Super frustrating. We've only drawn one land with all of this nonsense. Super frustrating. Oh, and that was an amazing card by my opponent to draw a Florian who starts to draw cards. Ay, ay, ay. I am triggered. I am very triggered. Array of Enfeeblement. Just only until end of turn. Okay, that's fine then. So that did not give my opponent value. So we need to double red. We do need double black too. So decisions double black is better than double red because of the Meat Massacre in our hand. So what I'm going to do here, we're going to showdown. Just so I can guarantee to hit lands. Unfortunately, I'm only going to use one of those lands. And probably, I mean, I'm basically only going to be using one of these lands, which sucks. And I didn't get a red source, so double sucks. The good news is, though, I hope my opponent does put something out this turn. They're going to definitely find a land. And if it's just another 3-drop, Meat Massacre gets a lot of value this next turn. Especially if it's Chariot, I think we're okay. Immerstorm Predator, which actually, yeah, that sucks. I'm going to cry. That was like the perfect card for my opponent. Womp womp. Well, we can play around a Thundering Rebuke. Yeah, because they can sacrifice and put a +1 counter. And I'm just a turn behind. Missing that land drop was terrible. So we have to get rid of the Ugh. Ugh. If they have another Infernal Grasp, we're just deadzo. So do I just race here? I just race. Oh, what a joke. So I made the wrong... Well, it wouldn't matter the decision I would have made because either way. 3, 6... Am I actually okay? Am I actually okay here? I just go to 8? And we meet Massacre? If I draw a land? We're okay? Oh, and play it? Land or bust. One time, Dak. One time. Untap land. Hey, we got it. Okay, so we survive. We live to see another day. And it's a red source, which was perfect. So goodbye, Immerstorm Predators. And we gained a lot of life here. So we did draw the untapped land. Can't complain too much. But again, the whole point that my opponent still did is missing those land drops. Dude, that does not do it. Oh, but my opponent does make me not draw. Yeah, gain life. They should have actually sacked more stuff. Okay, and we have Goldspan Dragon that's going to get a lot of value here, which we will throw out with the Haunted Ridge, and might as well just go for as much as possible just to generate some value. I think I might just keep the Rune of Mortality, though, in case we need it for... Well, no, I don't. Yeah, because it's just burning mana here. That actually is better because now we can go Runeforge Champion. And want to spend my mana? I think I will. Okay, and I don't need to do anything else here. I could try to chain off, but we can do that next turn. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. My opponents, they see what they draw. As far as I'm trying to think what my opponent can draw that really gets him out of this. Feral Grass, which was a good draw. Definitely was a good draw. Can't quite fling it here. Do we just go for it? So Sustenance on the champion. Mortality on the champion. Now we're hitting lands galore. We don't have any showdowns left. Borrow time is actually quite nice. We're up to an 11. Opponent's down to an 8. We can borrow time on Florian. Unfortunately, we are drawing lands like crazy. One of the problems with this deck is the lack of card draw, too. That's why Wedding Announcement can be good. And basically, I just have to get my opponent down to a 3. Okay, I mean, it's rough. That was a good draw by my opponent. Duelist is okay, though. What do we have left? I hate it when it goes showdowns into showdowns. Huh, I have the Runeforge Champion and block the Escate Chariot, too, with the Death Touch. Oh, that Graveyard Trespasser was super good, too. So, I think I have to make a decision here. Wait. Never mind. Kozul's Fury deals damage, not the creature. I was thinking the creature dealt damage. I will be blocking, though, on the... The Runeforge Champion will be blocking. Yeah, I have to block here. I don't think there's a... I can't let my opponent continue to create some targets, though, so... Hate to get outdrawn here at the end here when we were both top decking, but I think my opponent does have stronger cards to draw. I mean, it's a card that gets us back in, but they're so weak. Like I've run through a lot of runes. This sucks. And that Graveyard Trespasser is just going to wreak havoc. And I'm taking a lot of damage. I'm getting cards exiled. Ugh, that hurts. Come on, runes. Like a showdown? Showdown would be good. My opponent not drawing stuff would be good. Runeforge is great. And this allows us to get from a graveyard, too. Which is super good. And we don't even have to put it on a creature. We can put it on anything to make sure we draw the card. So, I mean, I do want to put a Rune of Mortality. So, but we'll just go Rune of Mortality. And we're going to throw it on a land. Just so we guarantee to draw this card. I don't want to not draw a card here. We are off to the races. We have a lot of cards that are going to give us value. Not a land. Because we need this Graveyard Glutton to flip. So it doesn't start eating two things. I know it's a removal spell my opponent's hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Only 7 lands drawn, though, out of 37. So my opponent's going to be drawing some lands here. Oh, that is the most beautiful card that we could have ever drawn. There we go. We get the showdown. And I think that this is going to really go into our favor here. We should be filtering through some lands. As well as we've got a Fury that's going to be good. We got a triggered opponent that's still deciding if they want to kill the Runeforge champion or the Killian. And honestly, I could actually fling. We could use the Fury right now just to fling something. Oh, they got flying now. We'd be flying because we have a million enchantments, huh? And talk about a beauty. Talk about a beauty. Can we actually go off here and win the game? I believe we can. Now this should actually 100% should get a removal spell out of the hand here. Because they need to take care of the Killian or they need to take care of the Runeforge champion right now. Okay. Well, we're going for it. And there's the scoop. Whew. Oh, that was exhilarating. That was a fun little matchup, a back and forth. We were worried at times. And, I mean, we got to see Jund twice in a row. I apologize for not being able to see, different strategies. But that was fun. That was a fun back and forth matchup. This is like this is how I want to be playing Magic. Unfortunately, I think the Orzhov is kind of a boring one. Because of just how much value it's just such a grindy value engine. But still, this standard is actually reminding me of the Siege Rhino Day standard. So where Elspeth, you had very good board wipes during that time period, and you had Siege Rhino that just really stalled the game out. And that's what I think that like the Welcoming Vampire / the wedding announcements are doing is they're and the eye twitches and the shambling gas. They're clogging the board early enough that these mid-range strategies then can throw planeswalkers out, and that's exactly what Elspeth used to do. And some of those strategies back during the Constant Arcare days. So I actually preferred standard Magic. Is a lot more interesting than the energy from Kaldheim forward. Just the hyper aggressiveness that we saw with like Amonkhet. It's a lot more interesting than the anything from Theros and Throne of Eldraine. Those were the garbage years of standard, and it's even much better now without like the Hours of Epiphany nonsense taking 7 turns in a row. Or okay, let's be honest, taking 2 turns in a row, but that's enough to just win the game. So this is a lot more mid-range back and forth, and as you can see, a combo deck can actually slip through here, or a synergy. I like to consider myself a synergistic player, just really wants to focus on the synergies. So anyway, hope you enjoyed this video. This has been Kevin with the Rogue Deck Builder. I'll try to get a deck list up in the link in the description. Thanks for watching.